Isn't this team getting predictable? Wow. Just complete garbage out there. Garbage.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can follow us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasco, Carter First 2. As well, drop a subscription on YouTube. It really helps us out, keeps us at the top of your page. As well, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Blue Jays. We post a bunch of reels, shorts, whatever you want to call them. They're all on there. Carter, I don't know, man. I don't know. That was just pitiful. It was pitiful. I don't know. I'm getting closer to the point now where it's like I don't even have to watch games. I can just wait and know exactly what the outcome's going to be. I should start betting on games because this is exactly I'd be making cash right now. I don't know. We're going to get more into this, Carter. But courtesy of Daniel, the guy who we met in Toronto, we've been in contact with him. Really great guy. We have a little trivia for the fans today before we get into the garbage that was yesterday's baseball game. Whose jersey was the first to whose City Connect baseball jersey was the first to sell out of all of the Toronto Blue Jays players? Drop a comment down below. We'll let you know if you guys are right. I'm guessing a lot of your guess will be correct because it's exactly what I thought. Daniel went there. He sort of gave us some prices, gave us some cool pictures of, some of the stuff that was being sold, some of the, things being put up at at Rogers, attraction wise, whatever it is for the City Connect stuff. It was quite cool. But it's time, Carter, to get into the absolute devastating defeat that was yesterday's 10-1 loss against the Baltimore Orioles. Before I throw it to you, I have a complaint with John Schneider, believe it or not. Trevor Richards, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, get him out of the game. In my head, that doesn't make any sense to me why he would have not pitched that next inning against the bottom of the lineup. And then we go to Cabrera, who has been just horrible this season. I'm not going to make any excuses. He's been just terrible. I don't know. Maybe they thought this game was just a throwaway game. That's sure as hell what it seemed like. Because there was absolutely zero effort from honestly anybody. Great that George Springer got a home run, but the effort, the heart, I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe it's just that we're just a terrible baseball team. I don't know. Carter, what are your thoughts? I don't know.
I mean, I'll talk you off the ledge with the Trevor Richards thing. He had 40 pitches after 2 innings. Trevor Richards isn't built to be a starter. He never has been. He's just going to fulfill that starter role. Yes, you want him to go more than 2 innings. But when he has 40 pitches after 2, I mean, you don't want the guy's arm to fall off. You don't want to overwork him, especially when he's been one of the best relievers on this team. The problem is with Henny Cabrera. We kind of talked about this yesterday. We said that the Baltimore Orioles absolutely mashed left-handed pitching. To be fair, we also said Trevor Richards probably wouldn't be the best starter in this game, and he kind of proved us wrong there. But 1 for 2. Henny Cabrera went out there, just didn't look good. Gave up a lot of hits, a lot of hard contact, did not have good control. And then Bowden Francis didn't do much better. I mean, it's tough to allow this offense to even have a chance to come back when you're down 4-0 after 3. Again, that shouldn't be a huge mountain to climb when you think from an outside perspective, what maybe watching some other baseball teams. But we've watched the Toronto Blue Jays offense more than enough times to know that, especially against Corbin Burnes, one of the best pitchers in the AL, that there's no chance they were going to score 4 runs in this baseball game. And even you go take another step back and you look at this from just a broad perspective. You got Corbin Burnes going against Trevor Richards and just a bullpen day. You kind of had to know that this game just wasn't going to turn out in our favor. Did I think it was going to be 10-1 Baltimore Orioles? Absolutely not. That is absolutely pitiful. It's just no pulse the entire game. It looked like this team was playing. This was a AAA team playing against a major league team. The Jays obviously being the AAA team. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of good to take away from this game. Like George Springer hits a home run. He's been having better at bats. That's a good thing. I guess Trevor Richards. I guess that's really the only positive I have in this game is just Trevor Richards. He's under a 3 RA now this season. A guy that's just been a rock out of the bullpen. But overall, I mean, just looking at these two teams, they aren't even in the same vicinity on skill, on talent, just pitching staff, everything about it. The Baltimore Orioles are simply just a better team than the Toronto Blue Jays.
That is just painful to hear. If you would ask me 4 years ago, as a more casual fan, obviously I'm not as casual anymore, watching every single baseball game. But if you asked me 4 years ago, casual fan me, maybe still more than a casual fan, but I'm not watching 162 games. If I thought in 4 years that the Blue Jays with the Vlad and Bo potential were going to be the worst team in the AL East, that would have blown my mind and I wouldn't believe you. This is the worst outcome imaginable this season. And it's not getting better. I mean, I don't know how many games, again, the Trevor Richards being pulled after 2, you can say whatever you want. You got to do whatever is humanly possible to win baseball games at this point. If it is throwing him out for a third inning and then not going to Cabrera, that was just a mind-blowing decision for me. You need to win baseball games. He's giving you a good start. Keep him going. Don't throw Cabrera. I don't know. I don't even understand that decision. That makes zero sense to me whatsoever. I don't know. That to me, Carter, I got to stop making excuses. Oh, well, you don't want his arm to fall off. You don't want him to throw. He threw 40 pitches already. You got to win baseball games. He was giving you the best shot possible to win that baseball game, even if it's one more inning, and then you go right to Bowden. And don't get me wrong, Bowden, obviously, still not the best day. But maybe that starts it better. You don't give up. Henny Cabrera doesn't give up a ton of runs, and then Bowden doesn't come in right after that and has to try to pick up the slack. Maybe that helps. And who knows? Maybe it's the same outcome. Trevor Richards gets banged up too. Who knows? But we've always talked about playing the hot hand. And in a 0-0 ball game, you turn to Henny Cabrera. It's unexcusable. He's been terrible all year. It's unexcusable. This baseball team, it's inexcusable. This is terrible. I honestly don't know what you do. I'm getting more and more frustrated now. And before, I maybe had a little bit of hope, saying that, you know what, this team is going to figure it out eventually. There is absolutely zero cohesion here. This team cannot mesh together. They will not beat good teams. It's just not going to happen. This is getting worse and worse and worse. I honestly, Carter, I don't know where they go from here.
Yeah, it is tough to watch, but I'm completely on the other side with this Trevor Richards stuff. I think it doesn't matter if he goes another inning. Again, I don't want him to get injured. He's one of the best pitchers on this team. You throw him out and you throw him 20 more pitches than he's normally thrown. You don't know what's going to happen. He might lose control. He might lose command, might get injured, worst case scenario. So I'm definitely not on that side with Trevor Richards. I think you got to take Trevor Richards out at that spot. I'm more concerned with Henny Cabrera. I don't think you should have threw him whatsoever there. I know you're shaking your head here. I don't get where you're coming from on this Trevor Richards thing. But with Henny Cabrera, yeah, he's shown that, especially against good baseball teams, that he can't come in and get you outs. And that has been a huge problem. With the Baltimore Orioles being notoriously good for hitting left-handed pitching, I don't know if that's exactly where you go. I think it should have been flipped. I think you should have had Bowden Francis starting, and then you get Trevor Richards, and then maybe you see where you're at. I think if you really want to throw him out for that third inning of baseball, it's a lot more conceivable and it's a lot easier to get behind it if you get Bowden Francis to throw you 3 1/3 or whatever it is. And then you have Trevor Richards working into higher leverage. Maybe the game is closer. I guess at this point it is 0-0. But with Trevor Richards, I don't want this guy to get injured at this point. I think you start Bowden Francis. It's a lot easier to manage the baseball game when you have Trevor Richards going later on into the game. Maybe he gets into the 6th. And Bowden Francis didn't have a great day. So this is all kind of speculation. And at the end of the day, Toronto Blue Jays scored 1 run. They got 1 home run from George Springer. So again, you're not going to win baseball games when you're scoring 1 run. It's just simply not going to happen. And that's been a problem this Blue Jays team has had this entire year. So I think the Blue Jays, again, war record is what, 28-32 now. So that would be 60 games into the season, if I'm correct about that. I'm pretty sure that is right. But anyway, this is why I just wanted to get it off this stat here. So this was the 32nd game of the year. The Toronto Blue Jays have scored 3 runs or fewer. How are you supposed to win baseball games when over 50% of the time you're just not scoring runs? This pitching staff, as we say all the time, has to be literally perfect. Obviously, they weren't today. But you get 1 run from George Springer when the game is already over. It's 8-0. It doesn't matter if George Springer hits a solo shot. Again, it's nice for him, nice for his stats. Nice to see him actually just do something at the plate, like we've been saying in the last week and a half. His at-bats have been better. But it's a tough game to watch. But also, you look at this team right now, Bowden Francis, again, he's kind of struggled all year. But when you're looking at other options, I mean, who do you really have? Mitch White was DFA. He probably would have been a decent option right now. Alek Manoah is injured. Yariel Rodriguez is on a rehab stint, but he's still injured. Ricky Tiedemann, a guy that we probably would have want to seen at this point for this baseball team, is also injured. And now Bowden Francis has a 9 ERA. So there really just isn't a good option here at the 5th rotation spot, unfortunately. Bowden Francis said that he was just shaking off some rust. I get that. But again, I'm just kind of sick of the excuses. I'm sick of the small victories. This team has shown time and time again, it just can't hit good pitching. And we say it all the time. If you get to the playoffs, you're not going to be facing bombs. You're not going to be facing guys with 7 ERAs. You're going to be pitching or facing the best teams, top 3 pitchers in the baseball game. So you're going to have to find a way to score runs eventually. And clearly this offense just isn't good enough. This pitching staff has not been good enough either. Just everything that went wrong could have went wrong. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough to go anywhere from here when you have a very tough schedule coming up. And I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for the Toronto Blue Jays team.
Well, Carter, and what I want to get into in the next segment, and we will touch on it, is hope. And we will talk about that because I think it's a topic for everybody right now. How do you keep watching this team like this? I don't know if that necessarily happens for everybody. And the other part of it, I mean, I want to go back to some of the stuff that he touched on. Yeah, George Springer hits that home run. Doesn't matter, to be honest with you. Great for him. I don't care. I'm happy that they didn't do the home run jacket and the big whatever. Give the guy a couple taps. Good for you. I like that. I think that was handled well in that situation. Because that I'm a big complainer when it's a blowout game and they're bringing out the home run jacket and the red carpet or whatever. Happy that they didn't do that. They handled that situation well. You give the guy a couple taps, great, move on, continue, whatever. The situation with Trevor Richards, I mean, I think we're just going to basically disagree completely because I think you're not going out and you're not throwing him 90 pitches. You're going out and maybe trying to throw him 55, but whatever. I digress. And yeah, the whole offense, and that's the exact point. Is that it doesn't matter if, honestly, me and you can argue Trevor Richards and Bowden Francis till we're blue in the face and Henny Cabrera till we're blue in the face, but this team only scored 1 run. And that you hit the nail on the head on that one because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There hasn't been a game. I want to go back and look at this, and maybe I will. The last time the Toronto Blue Jays hit multiple home runs in the same game. We just have no long ball. The Toronto Blue Jays cannot hit home runs, and it hurts you. It hurts you big time. I mean, look at the hits in this ballgame, Carter. They had 9 hits and they scored 10 runs. When's the last time you've seen the Blue Jays come close to evening out runs and hits? It hasn't been. It's disgraceful. This is an absolute disgrace. And I'm the biggest Blue Jays fan, one of the biggest Blue Jays fans you'll ever meet in your entire life. And I know the people listening to this are going to be like, how are you fake fans? I know I saw a couple Blue Jays content creators being called fake fans. How are you happy with what's happening on the field right now? If you're a real Blue Jays fan, how in the world are you happy with watching this baseball club? I will not understand that. So in some of these cases, I don't like to hardcore back any other podcast, but I saw that and I thought that's an absolutely ridiculous comment from that guy. But Carter, I do want to just move on because there's not much else to say. Honest to God. That's what was my whole point of yesterday's TikTok, Reel, Instagram, whatever it was, is that I don't know what to say anymore.
Oh, I got a lot to say, actually. I'm going to just get it all out in that TikTok. I got to make one after this podcast. I got a 60-second rant coming out to the fans here, and it might get a little crazy. I don't know. I don't know what I'm about to say. So I try to be pretty level-headed on this podcast, but I use TikTok for just just get all the anger and the emotion out. So that's, I think, what we're going to have to do. So, yeah, we got, I guess, a little bit more Baltimore Orioles versus Blue Jay stuff. I got some team stats I want to go over, just some other crazy stats that just makes me feel sad about the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll get into all that coming up.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. As you guys know, Game Time is one of my favorite apps on my phone because it helps me buy cheap tickets to games that I want to go see. Of course, we went to Toronto and we bought all our tickets through Game Time because we got to pick our seats. We wanted to sit all around in different spots in the ballpark. And so Game Time allowed us to do that. It allowed us to pick our spots and get cheap tickets because a couple of them were like their flash deals or their zone deals. I think we got a couple times. And that's fantastic. And the other good thing is that the price is the price and there's no added extra fees at checkout. There's nothing like that. So when you click on a price, you know that's exactly what it's going to be. Game Time, like I said, they also will credit you if you find a ticket for a better price or anything like that. They will actually give you the money back. I think plus 10%. It's 110% of the difference they will cover. So unbelievable there. All in pricing, as I said. And they also have the last minute deals, which I didn't touch on. We didn't actually get to use those, but I used them for a Jets game back whenever. And yeah, you can save up to 60% off. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Carter, it's time to talk about this. I had a lot of hope going into this season, honestly. I thought maybe this would be the bounce back season. I saw the lineup, but I thought maybe this team can put it together and figure it out. And I know a lot of people listening to this podcast maybe didn't feel the same way, didn't have the same hope that maybe me and you did. But I, honest to God, never believed in my heart that we would be here. It's painful to watch, and about all of my hope is gone. And I don't necessarily know if there's a series that they win or whatever that can bring this back. And I have zero hope that they're going to win this series. They honest to God might get swept.
Well, I mean, yeah, unfortunately for us, they can't win the series anymore anyway. The best they could do is split. But yeah, I mean, if they're going to win a baseball game, it's got to be tomorrow. They have Jose Barrios on the mound. And the Orioles, I don't know who their starter actually would be. I'm sure you have that, or we can find it out in the ad break. But it wouldn't be their typical starter because John Means and Tyler Wells are both out with injuries. Tommy John. So
it's Suarez.
It's Suarez. There you go. So a pitcher that has not made a lot of MLB starts this season. So if anything, you got to take advantage right there. But then you're up against Kyle Bradish on Thursday. So one interesting thing, as we always say on this podcast, is this team cannot hit good pitching. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough stat for the people of the Toronto Blue Jays and anyone that follows this team. So in this coming up stretch here, the Toronto Blue Jays play a lot of good teams with good pitching, pretty much minus the Oakland Athletics. So the Baltimore Orioles, this is all opponents' ERA ranking among the league. So the Baltimore Orioles have a team ranking of 4th for MLB ERA. The Athletics are 22nd, and they got the Brewers after that, which are 11th. Then the Guardians, which are 7th. The Red Sox, who are 5th. The Guardians again, who are 7th. The Red Sox, who are 5th. And the New York Yankees, that are 1st in team ERA. So it's not going to get any easier, unfortunately, for this Toronto Blue Jays team. For a team that has just struggled so immensely against anyone that has a pulse on the mound, it's hard to find that hope you've been talking about. This hope offensively, the pitching just has not been as good as previous years as well. Ranking ERA, Ks per 9, and WHIP from 2023. Their ERA was 4th in the league in 2023. This year it's 20th. Ks per 9 was 3rd. This year it's 25th. And this is all out of 30 teams, just in case you didn't know. WHIP was 10th. This year it's 20th. So the pitching has to be good. You saw it last year. It had to be good for the Blue Jays to win games. Now the pitching isn't good, and now the Toronto Blue Jays aren't winning games because this offense is still way below mediocre. The pitching, you could say, is mediocre at best, minus the starting rotation. The starting rotation still is pretty good, but now we have that hole as our fifth starter. Hopefully, Ariel Rodriguez is back, and that can be effective when he does come back. But yeah, you talk about hope. It's hard. It's really hard to have hope for this Toronto Blue Jays team that got outscored 17-3 in the first 2 games of this series. Like I said, it's not even like these two teams are playing in the same league. It looks like this is a AAA team playing against just a strong MLB team. And again, Grayson Rodriguez and Corbin Burnes are both good pitchers. But John Schneider said it in an interview. Corbin Burnes is a really good pitcher, but how are you supposed to say that about everybody? It seems like that's the same thing that a lot of people, not necessarily us, I think we've been pretty good at holding the Blue Jays offense accountable. But you can say all that there's good pitchers all you want, but every team has good pitchers. So at what point are you going to stop with the excuses and start taking some accountability? And I think John Schneider maybe took his first step at that here. But again, this team's just tough to watch. I'll just end it with that. It's very hard to watch.
To be honest, Carter, I mean, those statistics are just bananas. It's brutal. At the end of the day, I start to think, what does this end of the season look like? And to be honest with you, there's no coming back. They aren't going to make if we continue like we are right now, there's no move to be made at the deadline that's going to save this team. There's nothing that's going to happen. It's going to come down to the end of the season, and the Blue Jays aren't going to make the playoffs. And Atkins is going to be fired, and John Schneider is going to be fired as well. That's my early prediction, because there is nothing else, Carter. I honest to God, watching this baseball team play the Orioles, I don't think we're making the playoffs. And if we do, I don't think they have a shot in hell of beating any team in the playoffs with this team.
I don't know how you can't say that after especially watching these last couple series. Look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. We barely scraped by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this is a team that is in the bottom third of the league. You take the first game of the series, you take them to 14 innings. You have a million opportunities to score runs, and you just don't do it. You barely squeak by with a David Schneider home run. David Schneider can't hit a home run every single game. It's impossible. And then you look at this series, you've given up 7 home runs to the Baltimore Orioles in 2 games. You just look at these home run totals. The Jays have hit 51. The Orioles have hit 91. It's just these offenses are just on completely different levels. It's so fun watching the Baltimore Orioles from like just an MLB fan perspective. Like if they weren't killing the Blue Jays, they'd be like, wow, like Gunnar Henderson's awesome. Like Ryan O'Hearn, Ryan Mountcastle, you got Colton Cowser. Like there's so many good players on this Orioles team, and there's way more where that came from. Jackson Holliday hasn't even sniffed the major leagues since earlier in this season. I mean, this guy's only 20 years old. There's so many good players for this Baltimore Orioles team. And you look at the Jays system. I mean, there's Ricky Tiedemann, who's been injured a bunch. There's Orelvis Martinez. I guess there's Addison Barger. When you compare Addison Barger to some of these Baltimore Orioles prospects, they're not even close. It's like the Blue Jays to the Baltimore Orioles this season. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I think I know where the Toronto Blue Jays team is going from here. But as podcasters, as guys that have to cover this team every single day, I don't know where we're going to go from here. This might be, unfortunately, a very long season for us the rest of the way.
And that sucks, man. That sucks. Because we came in, we gained this podcast. We'll talk a little bit about it on the 100th episode coming up on Friday. You good over there?
It's just hot in here, man. This guy loves it's like the Sahara Desert, and I'm just sweating.
I've been home all day.
Blue Jays.
Crank it down.
I should have. I didn't.
I'm not
wasn't a problem until right now. Maybe I'm getting worked up here, and I can't keep it in anymore.
Maybe it's because I come into the house and I just heat it up. You get a little nervous around me. I don't know.
I'm sure that's what it is. I get nervous around the people. I guess first time, and we almost got to 100 episodes. It's the first time that I'm getting nervous around the people. But holy, I'm getting hot here. I wish the Toronto Blue Jays would get hot. That'd be fun to see. That's just never going to happen, unfortunately, though. I guess I'll go over a couple more stats that they have. I mean, the Jays are 1-9 in their last 10 home games against the Orioles. Is that good? Yeah. The Jays are 7-10 against AL East teams. Like, that's just simply not going to play. Okay, I'm ditching the glasses here. But yeah, it's simply not going to play. You need to beat the division teams if you want to win the division, if you want to make the playoffs, because you're playing these teams a decent amount compared to the rest of the league. Yeah, I mean, the Jays offense just isn't good. The Jays pitching just isn't good. And yeah, it's the Baltimore Orioles are in a different league compared to the Jays. Just wait until we get the New York Yankees. We thought this pitching staff was good. It's 4th in the team ERA. The Yankees have number one. Luis Heel just comes out of nowhere, has an unbelievable season. Garrett Cole is not even back for this team, and they have the number one ERA in baseball. So I don't know. Like, maybe I don't know. Just sit and trade Bo Bichette and Vladdy for Aaron Judge. Just see what happens.
Honestly, start throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks. I don't know, guys. Drop us some comments. All I need to see is that we're, on the same page, all of us as Jays fans.
Or maybe we're overreacting. I don't know.
Maybe
we could be. But
I don't know. Every Jays fan that I talk to right now has given up on the hope of life at the moment. And that's about where I am. And I don't know. Again, maybe we're watching different things. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you guys think. I mean, maybe you disagree with us and you say the Blue Jays are going to figure it out. I'll debate you. Don't get me wrong. I'll debate you. But if that's the feeling you have, I don't even respect it. That is just a ridiculous statement, but I want to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you agree with us, leave a comment because there's not much more that we can say right now, to be honest with you. I need to see 2 more games against the Orioles, I think, to lock this in. Not much is going to change, I don't think. But we're going to take a look at that fourth game, or the
game 3.
Game 3.
There you go.
And you know what? We'll take a look at game 4 as well a little bit here because we do have before we get into the athletic series, of course, we got our 100th episode coming out. And hopefully, you guys have some fun with that. It is a very fun episode. We had a blast. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, but we'll be right back.
Here, just before we do head out, wanted to throw it over to the 24/7 streaming channel, Amazon Fire TV's channel app, or the Locked On Sports Today channel, whether it's NFL, NHL, college sports, NBA, you name it, MLB. If you don't want to listen to the Toronto Blue Jays, which I couldn't even blame you for, perfect opportunity to check out some other baseball teams if that's what you so desire. I'm going to ride or die with this Blue Jays team. I hope the rest of you guys are as well. But I mean, it's a tough slaughter. So if you want expert analysis, head over there. Well, I guess hopefully try to save the rest of the series, pick up a win tomorrow. We'll get into all that coming up.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home the big win of your own. But don't get me wrong, guys. I am out on betting on NHL right now, and I don't watch the NBA a whole lot. So I'm going to stick with betting on MLB. And when I bet on MLB, I usually like to bet on the Blue Jays. Won't be touching them. Not this series anyway. And honestly, I mean, maybe you take Jose Barrios, something like that, maybe a strikeouts or how many innings or something. That's not a bad take. Davis Schneider on base, Vladdy on base, maybe that's a decent bet. I think that actually might be what I'd go with. Maybe I'll try to will this team with my own money to win some baseball games. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. On to game 3.
Yeah, I guess head over the pitching matchups. I know normally I like to break down some individual stats on this game. I kind of gave Trevor Richards just year. But other than that, I'm going to be honest, I just didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to look at how bad this offense was, how bad this pitching staff has been. That's why I kind of just settled with the team stuff. I think that tells the story enough. But yeah, I guess let's try to save a series. If they can win the next 2, I'm not going to say I'm back in, but I'm going to say they aren't dead. I'll say they have a chance still. So, I mean, but if you get swept here, I mean, this is going to be a good thing we have a pre-record for Friday if this team gets swept. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know what, maybe we'll bring some fun back to the podcast with that 100th episode. It was a blast. We had some good guests join us. You guys will know who they are. We've had them on before. And just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We talk Blue Jays all the time. And this is honestly, it's been a little bit of a dream come true covering this team. Doesn't seem like it this year because it's been a pain, but but it is fun usually. But let's go over the pitching matchups for today's game. And like I said, Suarez is pitching with a 1.53 ERA against Jose Barrios, probably our ace right now, at a 2.94 ERA. Don't get me wrong, Barrios has had he's pitched in way more games because Suarez is literally 2-0 right now. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you got to hope that the Blue Jays can find some way to beat up on this guy. I just don't necessarily believe that they've shown even the ability to beat up on some of the league's worst pitchers. So I don't even know if you can say they're bad against the best pitchers because, like John Schneider said, it seems like everybody's the best pitcher when they face the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and I can't even say that you want to get this guy early because you can get to the bullpen because the bullpen for the Baltimore Orioles is not even taxed whatsoever. They've thrown 4 innings in 2 games, and it hasn't even been like very high leverage guys because these games haven't been close. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully you can score runs early on the starter. Like this is a must win. Like this is the season on the line right here. I'll say it right now. If you lose this game, you got Kyle Bradish coming into town on Thursday. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how it gets any better from there. You'd have Kikuchi going, and as we said before, this team hits left-handed pitching very well. Kikuchi struggled over the last 2. It's going to be tough to rely on him. Hopefully, he does have a bounce-back game. I'm definitely on Kikuchi's side. I don't want him to have a bad game, obviously, but all the signs are kind of pointing to how good this Baltimore Orioles team has played recently. Kikuchi's last couple starts, how bad this offense has been. I mean, just this, I guess I'll give one more stat to end this off. This is just a tale of 2 teams really here. The Baltimore Orioles are tied for first in average team exit velocity. I didn't even want to go check the Blue Jays, but it was last in the league a week ago. I can't imagine it's gotten much better. Maybe we're up to 28th at best. So it's like, again, that just shows exactly how these 2 teams are playing. The Baltimore Orioles hit the ball hard. Blue Jays just don't. And obviously, you got to hit the ball hard to get hits. It's a lot harder to field a hard ground ball, a hard line drive, whatever it is, than a little hit off the end of the bat or a little rollover swing to third base, whatever it is. It's, again, we need something here. I don't know what it is. I said that on the last episode. They got to figure out something. And I think Jose Barrios, if I was going to put my money on anyone to hopefully get a win for this Toronto Blue Jays team, I think at this point it would be Jose Barrios.
Yeah, you need him to. He's our guy. He's our guy. Team on the back. We need him big time. It's like that scene in Star Wars where Luke puts on the little like Yoda on the front of him, carries him around. That's what we need Jose Barrios to do with all of Blue Jays Nation here. It's just not going well, Carter. And to be honest with you, we come on the podcast and it's a little bit like you always say, it's a therapy session. And that's exactly what this was today. I just need to get it out of my system. And that's why some days I thank God that we have this podcast because I don't know, I'd just be yelling at the lawn outside. I don't know. My neighbors get pretty annoyed with me. They probably already are. Me screaming in my room here at the Blue Jays games.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably why our neighbors are moving out. They probably heard you yelling a little bit too much, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sick of this. It's been going on for so long. There's still another 2/3 of the MLB season. This isn't going to end, clearly." So hopefully it does. But again, stars aren't really aligned for this Toronto Blue Jays team. Just want to say one more time, as always, thank you guys for watching. We have noticed that about 70% of you guys are not subscribed to our channel. If you're coming back, supporting the Toronto Blue Jays, supporting us, I mean, it's been a tough ride, but we always appreciate the support, all the likes, the comments, everything. We have the Friday, obviously, is the 100th episode, so we won't really be recapping the Baltimore Orioles series, but I'll be sure to get a short TikTok reel out, so I will have something at least for you guys there. I'll take this opportunity one more time to throw it to a more positive note, the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, or the Amazon Fire TV's channel app. Whatever is more convenient for you. Even if you just throw it on in the background as background noise, you can tune in. There's a lot of interesting segments that will probably catch your attention if you just leave it on all day. I know I've done that multiple times, and then I've caught myself sitting on the couch when I should probably be doing laundry, stuff like that, and just listening to our Locked On experts. Let's go for, at this point, I'd be happy with a 3-1 series loss, unfortunately. I mean, I think, like I said, tomorrow's a must win. Kyle Bradish, it would be awesome to split the series, but who are we kidding? What have we seen? It's just been pure domination over the first 2 games. You can steal one from the Baltimore Orioles the way they're playing, the way we're playing. You can't be happy about it necessarily, but I think you just have to be okay with it at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. We can't get swept here. The Blue Jays cannot get swept. That's season ending, honest to God. I think you lose a lot of the fans. I think they just stop paying attention. And that's devastating for this team. And the good thing is that people still show up to Rogers, right?
Well, I mean, as long as they offer the Looney Dog nights, I'm sure Tuesdays are still going to be pretty packed up as well. Family days for like Saturday, Sundays might be okay as well. for a random weekday game, especially if it's like a later game. It's gonna be hard to get Blue Jays fans out there, especially if they're playing good teams. As the schedule points out, there's a lot of good teams coming up. They're in Oakland for the Oakland Athletics series, so they can't even beat up on them at the Rogers Center. So again, a little bit of a negative podcast here, but what do you expect? I'm sorry. Like look at the last two games. I don't know what there is to be positive about. I'm usually a good spin zone guy here. I got a little Trevor Richards one there, George Springer dinger, I guess. Springer dinger, as they say. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. When you get outscored 17-3 in the first two games of the series, it's going to be tough to be positive about that.
Yeah, I'm an emotional fan. There's no spin zone with me. I'm gonna pretty much tell you straight up. You can see it on my face as I walk in the room most of the time. So, but anyway, like Carter said, really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll be back tomorrow.